Morning! So I've been a bit slack on YouTube last week. Let me explain why. I've been struggling with an illness for about a month, and every time I felt like I got on top of it, it'd just come back with a vengeance, and I'd just be really, really ill. Couldn't work out why I couldn't kick it. Finally got a doctor's appointment. Had to do a spectrum test or something. Basically where you phlegm in a cup and send it off. And then they come back and was like, oh, you have got a bacterial infection in your chest. Here's some antibiotics. So I've been on antibiotics for a couple of days now, and I'm feeling much better. And you may be thinking, oh my God, you're such a pussy. Which is correct. So let me just give you a bit of background. The reason I can't fight infections that well is because I take a mild immunosuppressant. Because 10 years ago, whilst traveling out in Asia, yeah, I was one of those guys. I was violated by a mosquito, and the mosquito gave me something called dengue fever. It's pretty horrendous. It's a hemorrhagic fever, which basically means you bleed blood everywhere. But it really done a number on my immune system, which then spiraled in something called chronic fatigue syndrome. It's a long story, but that's why I'm a little bit soft. Because the mosquito ruined my life. Anywho, shall we? So we have sold some in lamb ewes, not very many, only 20. It's a work in progress. But I got a lad coming today to pick up 20, so I'm gonna go and get them in on another farm in a minute. Got a bit of an ongoing thing where I lamb. They had all these trees pruned. We've picked them up and they've piled them up, but they're stacked up now. Can you imagine how many lambs I'm gonna lose in there? They're planning to clear them up, but it's also wet, so I don't really want them out there with a tractor, like trashing the fields. Along with that, they're taking back some fields for haymaking, so it's put us in a bit of a pinch, which means we're not going to be able to lamb so many sheep this year as we normally do. I am not one to lamb indoors. It's not really my thing. Obviously, I can't lamb indoors because... yeah. So plan B's out of the equation. Got a fair bit of pressure as well because we're grazing some oats and it's very, very wet. And I think we're gonna have to move some lambs, but I'll show you them in a little bit. Hey, my truck broke again. Alternator this time, if anyone cares. Hey, Spaniel, come on. Come on.
You physically couldn't hold me, I don't care if you pushing 40. You can never little bro me. You're all
trying to train a 9-year-old spaniel not to dog the lambs too hard is quite tricky. Isn't it, Mush? So these are a little mob of sheep that we're selling. Oh, she fell down now. So stripes on the back are triplets, and then red dots are twins, and then there's one single in there. It's a green dot there. Don't like selling in lambers at all. I originally wanted to sell a load of triplets because we've got like 48, something really painful like that. But because my truck's been breaking down and just been a bit too busy, I haven't had time to get all the triplets together. And this fellow was interested. I said, look, I'll tell you what I'll do. I've got a small group at this place. I'll get a bunch together. If you like them, you can buy them. If you don't buy them. I'm not worried if he comes along right now and says I don't like them, because I'm quite happy to keep them. But we are going to have a problem when we come to lambing because we ain't got enough land at the minute. So we have got to do something. But yeah, a nice bunch of sheep. They'll do someone really well. Absolutely full of lambs as well. Off they go. Bye, girls. Just sold them to a nice couple. Not very happy about it, but I'm going to be selling a lot of sheep this year that I'm not very happy about. So I better get used to it. I'm going to show you what we've been up to. You might find this interesting. We've been grazing some oats on some very heavy land. Let me show you. So I appreciate this looks very bad. These are someone's oats that they're going to combine and get a crop off this year. What you can see is they've taken like 90% of the leaf away and just left that. And it will come back. I know this genuinely looks terrible, but we done the exact same thing as tight as this last week on this side. And as you can see, that's how much it's responded. You may be thinking, why on earth are you doing that? Well, that'd be a good question, wouldn't it? For me, it's because my lambs are getting fat. But why would the arable farmer want us to do this? Let me show you up here. So this is how the oats look before we graze them. As you can see, a very, very forward plant. There's a load of disease in this leaf. Plenty down there. So what the idea is you eat all that leaf off, take it right down. The plant then reacts and it actually dives its roots deeper, so it makes it a more drought resistant, stronger crop. It takes away the disease. This one's a bit tricky, but you don't have to apply any fungicides. You don't have to apply any growth regulators. The sheep are doing that for us. So it takes a lot of cost out of the job as well. This one I say is a little tricky because the ground is very soft. Very, very heavy land. So therefore, when it gets wet like it is now, the sheep don't travel very well and they can actually kick it out and cause more damage. So to stop that, we're having to take a bit less vegetation off than what we'd like to. This is perfect. This is not so perfect. But because it's so heavy, the lambs are standing on it and sticking it down and it's not springing back up. And it's taken a lot for the lambs to eat that. Now, I would leave these lambs on it another day, even though I know it looks quite catastrophic. But I'm not going to, because we're due 1 inch of rain tonight and tomorrow. And if you put an inch of rain on this, with these lambs travelling the way they are now, we're going to end up with a right mess here. And you can overdo this by a couple of hours quite easily. And at the end of the day, they're not my oats. So I've got to have that in my mind as well. I'm trying to get the best for both of us here. I'm not unhappy with what they've done, and they've certainly not killed it. I know it looks like they've killed it, but I promise you they haven't killed it, which is handy, obviously, because that's not the aim of the game. We're trying to make everything live in perfect harmony. It's only been a week. You can see the colour of it already. It's much better than a really forward plant like that. By taking all the vegetation away, making the crop stronger, cycling the nutrients, don't forget, the sheep only put back what they take. So they're actually turning that leaf into a nutrient, putting it back into the ground, which fertilises the plant again, and the plant's flying again. So this is a lot of the work that we do now. In the UK, farms split from livestock to arable years and years ago, and I still think it was the worst decision anyone ever made, because everyone started farming out of a can when farming got industrialised, chemicals in place of using livestock, all that sort of stuff. The two split, and now it's making a massive resurgence, and we are starting to get a lot more grazing doing this sort of thing. But the other problem is we've lost a whole generation of farmers that understand how to do it and what to do, so everyone's kind of learning along the way. It's a shame that the weather's killed us on this, because we're leaving farm too much there, but if this gets too wet, they will start killing it. So I have to make a decision, and my decision is the lambs are moving right now. But if these were my oats and I had full responsibility for it, I would leave them on here another day. But I am a tiny bit scared because I'm a big wuss. And whoever said you can't train a sow on an electric fence, they fully lied to you. Job's a peach. This is the other issue with this being so far forward and trying to graze it, is they knock a plant over like that, and on lighter soil that would spring back up like that and then they'd eat it. But as you can see, this gets stuck in it, and once that's laid down in there, it takes a minute for the lambs to get that back up and eat that, so it's not going to be as 100% effective as we'd like. Gonna leave this one here. It's good to be back. Good to have you back, you say? Thought so. Thanks guys. See you on the next one.